So anyway, we both heard about NSA in 1989. We both said no to the opportunity, and he still has his water filter and an air filter. He still wants his refills of the air filters and water filters. So could you give my brother a big hand for being here from Washington? But I really want to thank Jeff. We're bringing up Jeff Roberti, who I said no for 17 years. I didn't want to hear about Juice Plus. I didn't want to hear about anything. You go do your thing. I thought that I was supposed to build my life the way I was building my life, working paycheck to paycheck. And honestly, it was my ego that was in the way. I definitely had the I'm too cool syndrome. But Jeff has always been an amazing friend. And it's his heart, and the reason I watched him is, so, as we talk about, watch the feet, not the lips. And I would watch Jeff out there every day just sharing from his heart. I would come and go, what about this? And he had his goggles on. You know, he's the Michael Phelps of Juice Plus. He had his goggles on, and he just swam, right? He didn't see a lot of those distractions. And Jeff caught me. He was at an event that I was at, and I told you what he said. He said, you know, he had the courage to say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of seeing you work so hard. And he said, I see you, you know, instead of spending time with your kids, you know, you're running around. He goes, you're coming with me. And he literally grabbed me. And he took me, you know, I went to Memphis 3 days later. I had every excuse not to go to conference. And he is just someone, I know that all of you, I'm grateful that he shows up here every time. He's just a man with a huge heart on a huge mission. And, you know, your gift, Jeff, I'm going to give you in advance because you really are the change, you know, that we all wish to see in the world. So could you please give Jeff Roberti and his beautiful wife, Joanna. Where's Joanna? So we can thank her for supporting us. Joanna, please give her a big hand for being here to support as well.
I got to tell you guys, what an amazing event. How many of you guys really enjoyed this event? By a round of applause. I have to tell you, I was on the other day, and I got a show of hands. How many of you have never heard me speak before? Show of hands in the room here. Wow, look at all this fresh meat. Wow. Well, anyway, my name's Jeff Roberti. I'm from Sarasota, Florida. I've been with the company now. This January was my 28th year with the company. 28 years, and I crossed my 83rd million in commissions and bonuses from a broke 24-year-old waiter 28 years later in this business. So it's been amazing. So thank you. I'll give myself a hand on that. Sure beats waiting tables. But I'll tell you, the day I met Lauren, and, you know, Lauren is like the ocean of emotion. You know, she's just got this huge heart. And, you know, I had met Lauren through Tony Robbins, and I'd seen her there, and we were, you know, friends, and I kind of had her on a drip list, and, you know, and she just wasn't ready. It was a life mastery event in Newport Beach, and she literally was in tears, crying that she was away from her kids, the child care, the being on the road, trading dollars for hours, and I said, Lauren, that's it. It's non-negotiable. Pair of handcuffs is a good recruiting tool, by the way. Put the cuffs on her and took her to Memphis. And this was 4 days before the conference. And I said, you're not only coming, but I want you to bring 3 or 4 or 5 people that you would love to work with. And she sat in the front row with me. And how many of you have been to a conference? Show of hands. You know what happens at conference, right? It's not what you hear or what you see. It's what you feel. People will forget what you said, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel. It's an experience. It moves you emotionally to be in that room with those thousands of people. And she sat in the front row next to me, and Cheryl Cortese was sitting up there, and I'm cheering, she's cheering. I'm smiling, nodding, she's smiling and nodding. I'm crying, I look over, she's crying. Hearing the stories, the NMD stories. And I looked over at Cheryl and I said, this one's going to be a star because she has a huge heart. And let's just give her another big hand, if you would. So just to share with you, I have people all the time. They say, Jeff, do you get nervous before you come up on stage? Anybody have any fear of public speaking by any chance? You know what I have found that works the best, Kenny? I'll tell you. What I have found that works the best for me, first of all, if it's real, if it's sincere, if it's from the heart, you can never go wrong. But the other thing that works for me, and I was just outside, I said, God, please flow through me and give me the words to serve this room. And you get out of your head and into your heart and you focus on serving. And that has always worked with public speaking for me. So anyway, just to share with you a little bit about my story, 28 years ago, I was broke. I was dissatisfied. I was looking for some things to change in my life. Showed up with a really hard work ethic, but never had found an opportunity to be able to grow and become more and help other people until this opportunity came alive. It's funny, my buddy Bobby Padgett and I, we joke we were so broke that we would go to Kentucky Fried Chicken to lick other people's fingers. You were so broke that when you went by the bank, you'd trip the alarm. Okay, that wasn't as funny. I was telling Joanna earlier, I said, I got so much to cover. I feel like a mosquito in a nudist colony, right? There's just so much ground to cover. But anyway, it's been an incredible journey. My why back then is certainly different than the why today. People say, why do you still do this, Jeff? What keeps you going? Why would you be here, after this type of success? And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why Sean Myers is here and Mitra and some of the other leaders that have been around for a while that really don't have to do this anymore. It's because we're here for you. We'll never forget where we came from. The day that somebody shared this with us, we filled out our application and how this changed our lives. Life is not about me, life's about we. So it's a chance to pay it forward. It's a chance to make a difference. It's your grand opening. It's a chance to go out there and touch and change somebody else's life. And instead of retiring into your business or retiring from your business, to retire into your business. We talked about it the other day. There's really two parts to our business. The first part is this, what I call the science of achievement, where you achieve and you build and you produce. But the second part of our business is what we call the art of fulfillment. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure in life. So in our business, there's all this, I love what John was talking about, the purpose, the mission. It's purpose driven. We've got a mission here, something bigger than yourself, something that you can do, something that counts, something that matters, something where you can make a difference in this world. There's a lot of emotional and spiritual revenue in our business. It's rich in relationships. Do you know how it feels to sit in the room at one of the big conferences and to see somebody come across the stage that maybe you believed in them more than they believed in themselves? And to see that person come across the stage, not the money, not the position, but who they've become, and knowing that you played a small part in that success, that is like the Visa commercial. It's priceless. So there's so much more to our business than just the success and the money. It's rich in relationships. Our talk the other day was about long-term relationships equal long-term what? Success. These relationships. Our business is also rich in love and connection. The love and the connection. A lot of people will come to one of our meetings like this or one of our big conferences from the outside world, out of corporate America, which I never worked in corporate America, but they've never seen anything like this. This is a business where people at the top are actually helping people that are just starting get to the top. Is it like that in the corporate world? No. So here it's about helping other people. It's a business also that's rich in personal growth. A chance to grow as a person. You see people come into our business and how they start to grow and they start to build this confidence and they start to have this voice of authority and they start to believe in themselves. I talked about it the other day. You've got to inspire you before you can inspire other people. As you grow, your business grows. Really, it's a course in personal development, like David says, that's cleverly disguised as a business. And then a chance to contribute, to make a difference. I love what it says in the Bible. Find a way to serve the many, for service to the many leads to what? Greatness. So it's a chance to help other people, not only with their health, but also with their prosperity and their wealth. So there's so many rewards in our business beyond just, the business side of it, the relationships, the love, the connection, the growth, and the contribution. I've had a lot of people ask me, they say, well, Jeff, your why when you first got started, what was that why? And, what really drove you? We all have a defining moment in our life, something that was just kind of like, that's it. How many of you have lost somebody that you love from either stroke, cancer, or heart disease? Show of hands. Well, I lost my father. I'm the oldest of three boys. Grew up in Sarasota, Florida. My father was a very hard worker, but there seemed to be always more month than there was money. And he was very stressed. And, at the age of 46, he had a massive heart attack, and there was no second chance. I remember getting that phone call at 4 o'clock in the morning in my early 20s, and it was just like, it was the worst day of my life. But I decided it's not what happens in life, it's what you do with what happens in life. It's not the event, it's the meaning that you give it. And I decided that I was going to take the worst day of my life, losing my father, and taking that pain and grow from it and become more and have more capacity to give and serve and help other people, that I took that event and turned the worst day of my life into the best day of my life, and it was a defining moment. And I said, you know what, Jeff, I'm going to take this and grow as a person and have more capacity, more to give. And I came out of that thing with taking that pain and saying, you know what, Jeff, divorce the story that holds you back in life and marry the truth. The truth will set you free. So I would give it all back today if I could have got my own father on Juice Plus. It just might have saved his life. How many of you have noticed since you started taking Juice Plus, you have more energy? How many of you noticed that you eat more fruits and vegetables? How many of you notice you drink more water? How many of you have at least thought about working out at the gym? There's been a thought process. So these things start to happen. When I first got involved in the business, they're talking about all these words, these fancy words. I thought Whole Foods, coming from an Italian family, meant the whole pizza. I thought that's Whole Foods, right? So this was one of my driving forces, was what happened to my dad. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go out and figure out financially something that I could do to make a difference and have a financial security, financial independence. Because I didn't want to be scared and be broke anymore. The other thing that drove me in the very beginning, not coming from a wealthy family, and I've had several people say, Jeff, will you share this story, is the story for me, growing up, it was one of those times where I said to myself, I will never forget, I was sitting in the back seat of my mom's car, and I said, if someday, if I could, I would. I was a young kid with my brother in the back seat, and it wasn't the nicest car. It was a little beat up, a little rusty, but she was a very proud woman, and she acted like it didn't bother her, but I could tell deep down inside it hurt because other people were talking. So when I filled out my application and went home and tore out that list of excuses that we all have in life, no experience, no money, no background, no higher education, I said, you know what? I'm going to make that up in being hungry, having a desire, willingness to work, being teachable, leading by example, being the best distributor in your organization. But I also had this desire that I said, if someday in life, if I could, I would, I'd like to help my mother and father. If I could, I would. I'd like to be able to do this for my grandparents. If I could, I would. I'd like to be able to do this for my spouse or my children. If I could, I would. What's your if I could, I would? If I could, I would. I'd like to be able to give more to my favorite charities. And I got to a place where the how part of the business, this is the most important thing I'll share with you. The how part is simple. It is a simple business. It's not an easy business because it does require some consistency of work, ethics, and discipline, and employing yourself and holding yourself accountable. Jay Martin didn't call me up and say, Jeff, how many people did you talk to today? No, I had to employ myself. So it's a simple business, but it's not an easy business. So the part I want to share with you is this. You've got to get connected to your why. It needs to be an emotionally charged why. Why you do this. If your why doesn't make you cry, keep peeling the layers of the onion to get down to why you're really doing this. For me, back then, 28 years ago, my big why was I wanted to be able to help my mother. I wanted to be able to do some of these things that I'd always dreamed of as a kid. So when I started my business and I was burning that midnight oil, working 8 to fame, putting in that extra 10% effort that produced 90% of the results, the big why was this. My first goal was I wanted to be able to buy my first car was not for myself, it was for my mother. I wanted to be able to buy her a new car, the car of her dreams. So I went to work and I'm reinvesting back in the business. I'm building for events. I'm doing the basics. I'm doing the fundamentals. I'm growing as a person. And after a few years of building and working and reinvesting into people and proven systems, I was in the position to buy my mom the car of her dreams. I found out that my mom had really great taste, by the way. But without her knowing, I was able to go out and pay cash for this car. And I put in all the bells and whistles. If you're going to shoot a king, kill him, right? Don't wound him. If you're going to do it right. And I got the insurance card, got the gas card, loaded it up. And she lives up in the mountains, and I'm down in Florida, and I had the car sitting outside her home on Christmas morning. And I had a big red bow on the hood. And the sun was coming up over the mountain. And the morning dew that's on the car, it was just beautiful as the sun was hitting this car. And it's sitting outside. My mom doesn't even know it's out there. And I have her come to the door. She opens the door. She sees the car. She looks at me. I tell her how much I love her. And I see these tears of joy coming down her face. And I thought I was the one that was giving. The floodgates were open, brother. I was the one that was receiving. Giving. What you get in life lasts a while. What you give lasts a lifetime. And I felt that. And I was able to hand her those keys. And I remember those hours and that discipline of getting up early and working late. The why was what drove me. The how part, the mechanics, come on. It's fruit and vegetables in a capsule. What do you not get? The fruit and vegetables or the capsule? It's big money and free time. Which part do you not get here? That's not as funny. I'll scratch that one off here. Hold on. Get my pen out. But, to do that for my mom. I mean, how many would like to be able to do that for your mom? How many moms would like your son to do that for you? Better question. It was funny. I had my mom at a big convention right after that. She was at a conference, thousands of people there. She's up in the front row. And if you get a chance to honor your mom in public, you take it. And I'll never forget, I said this, I told the story. It was very emotional. I was in tears. She was in tears. And after the event, she grabbed me outside the convention center. And she goes, Jeffrey, if I'm really in trouble, Jeffrey Douglas, by the way. She goes, Jeffrey, I wish you wouldn't tell that story. You make us sound like we were so poor. And by the way, that car was almost 10 years ago. And it's a little slippery because it's only a 2-wheel drive. And she goes, and another thing, remember, you only have one mother. I said, I can't afford two the way this is going. But what I'm saying, guys, I tell this story for you to relate. What is your why? Reasons come first. You can come out to an event like this. You can get all excited, all motivated, connected, and then you go back home. And if you're not emotionally charged why and connected to your why, and reasons come first, it doesn't work because you got to have something that's going to drive you. Does that make sense? Is that some good advice? Just say yes. Yes, okay. All right, so that's the part with the why part. You know, some success principles, a few tips, because you guys are full. You've had a lot of content over the last 2 days, tons of content. But I got to give you a couple things. Give you a couple different things for some of you who've been around saying, oh, Jeff, I've already heard all that before. Well, let me give you a couple things maybe you haven't heard. Because the basics and the fundamentals never change. You know, I was a big student of Jim Rohn, the late, great Jim Rohn. He said, Jeff, concepts are constant. Techniques can vary. He goes, if you understand the fundamentals, the basics, the concepts of how to build a business, the different means and ways, the techniques can vary. When I first started in the business, we didn't have three-way calling. We had a rotary dial phone back in 87, and our three-way was, hey, I'm excited. Somebody introduced it to me, and they're right here, and hand them the phone. That was our three-way. There was no social media. I could put an ad in a newspaper if I wanted to get some curiosity. But times change. Things evolve. One constant of the universe is what? Change. And either you change and grow or you get left behind. You can't move forward doing the same things you're doing today or yesterday. You got to be willing to change and evolve. So one of the things that I understood in the business is, how many of you have distributors in your organization that you feel like you're always pushing them all the time? Anybody got those? Like you want it more than they do? Well, let me help you here. I would be what you would consider a 5%er. Sean, Mitra, Lauren, some of the other leaders here in the room, we're like those 5%ers that say, we're going to do this and go for it and go to the top. But you know what? Put this down in your notes. 80, 15, and 5. Maybe this will help you. 80 means 80% of the people that come into your business are going to do it sometime, part-time, or no time. Some people say, well, I don't like it that way. Well, it's not your planet. You get your own planet, you make your own rules. That's supposed to be funny too. Let me scratch that one. Gee. But 80%, they're just going to hang around the flagpole. You love them for where they're at. You embrace them. You manage them by group. You keep them hanging around the flagpole, and you never know. Recruiting is not an event. It's what? A process. It's a series of exposures. I've had people that it's been a year, 5 years, 10 years, or longer, and finally they hear it differently. They're in a different place. They get exposed and come out to something like this, and boom, they become a 15%er. And now they want to step up. I'm going to go to VF. I'm going to go to sales coordinator. I'm going to go to senior sales. I'm going to Q, NMD, whatever it is. They engage at a higher level. And whatever level that is, maybe the 50,000 a year, 100,000 a year, 39 club, whatever it is. And then you got the 5%ers. I tried to make everyone a 5%er. Especially you come out of a big conference and you see the spectacular of all the stories, and then you're trying to push everybody to do that. So lighten up. Lighten up. It's easier to lead than it is to push. What do you got to do consistently is stay in what I call the production stage, where you keep producing. Be careful falling into the manager stage where you manage people. The fun, the excitement, the juice in our business is where you're always out there building new blood, new baby distributors, a new freshman class. Nothing will ignite your business more than 5 new front lines. Some of you marketing directors, your business is stuck. Try this one. Pretend like you're filling out your application for the first time. Go back and do what you did in the beginning that got you to marketing director in the first place. You fall into what's called the management mode, where you're managing people. You stop producing, and it becomes a job. It becomes stressful. It's all these problems versus getting into the production stage, where it's fun and exciting. Nothing will ignite your business more and give you more fun and joy than 5 new front lines. The other one I'll talk to you about is this. How about the word momentum? How do you establish momentum? Not only how do you establish it, how do you sustain it, and how do you advance it? Well, if you want to establish momentum in your business, the way you establish momentum, it's kind of like going to the gym. You go in there, you start lifting weights that first day. Nothing much happens other than it's a little painful. Maybe even that first week, not a whole lot happens. Maybe it's 2 weeks. Hey, where's the results? But if you keep doing it, the word to get in your notes is consistency. Consistency over and over again. A few simple disciplines done consistently over and over again equal multiple rewards. So now all of a sudden you're consistent for a few weeks or a few months, and now you've established momentum in your business through consistency. How do you sustain it? Well, if you stop doing it, right, you might all of a sudden you've established all this great momentum in your business, and now you stop, but all of a sudden your check keeps coming in, your organization's going. Well, that's a result. The result you're getting this month is off of what you did what? Last month. The results you're getting this quarter is off of what? Last quarter. And if you stay consistent, you'll not only sustain it by staying consistent, the paying activities, the disciplines, then you'll advance will be automatic. All of a sudden you'll be, remember somebody asked me yesterday, or we were talking about positions or something and clubs and all this. I said, I've never focused on the money. I've never focused on the positions. I've always focused on the paying activities, the basics, the fundamentals. And that's being consistent. Lauren and I were talking on the break at lunch. She said, you know what, Jeff? I'm not going to be running around all over the place. I'm going to set up camp here in Las Vegas. And I'm going to be consistent day in and day out here over a period of time. And I said, that's exactly what I did. But instead of just being a franchisee and staying in Sarasota, I became what you would call almost like a franchisor. I went out and I said, hey, I got the Sarasota area going. How about Fort Lauderdale? Recruited Bob and Sue Burdick. How I got Fort Lauderdale going, worked with them for a while, duplicated myself, tell, show, try, do. I tell them, show them, they try it, they do it. They start to get some momentum established. It's sustained, it's advancing. I don't stay there and manage that group. I go to New Orleans. Cheryl Cortese. Go camp out with her for a while. And so on. And then it wasn't only in North America for 5 years, then it was over in Europe for 5 years. I'm telling you, you can compress an entire lifetime of work in what you do in the next 3 to 5 years. A lifetime in a 3 to 5 year plan of consistent discipline on the paying activities. Here's something that was shared with me by a guy named Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn, anybody? Anybody a fan of Jim? I asked Jim, I said, Jim, share with me, what do you mean by this? A few simple disciplines done consistently over and over equal multiple rewards. He goes, Jeff, it's like anything in life. If you take the product for a day and then you skip it for a week, are you going to get results? He said, but if you take it consistently every day, week after week, month after month, you start to establish, sustain, and advance the momentum with that. It says the same thing with our business. He goes, let me give you a simple discipline. What if I asked you to talk to 3 people a day? I know some of you are busy and, you got families and all these things going on. But if I offered you $100,000 a year to talk to 3 people a day, how many'd sign up? I'd put 2 arms up, right? 3 a day. Wouldn't that be fairly easy to do? Think about it. 3 a day. It's not a question of ability. It's a question of desire and motivation. Put in the word in your notes, the word hungry. What do I really look for? Somebody that has a hunger. Somebody that has a desire. And it could be more than just financially. It could be a lot of areas in your life where you're dissatisfied. But here's the thing. If you did 3 a day, it's easy to do. But what's easy to do is easy what? not to do. But if you did 3 a day, just talking to 3 people a day, social media, whatever it is, you're just sharing this story 3 times a day. After the first week, would you have a whole lot of momentum in your business? Probably not. Maybe even after the first month you wouldn't. But what if you did that consistently for 12 months? 3 times 365, take Christmas off, 364. You don't have to talk that day, Kenny. That's what? Approximately 1,000 people? Do you think you'd get better at talking to people? Absolutely. Do you think you'd establish some momentum? Do you think some of the distributors would do the same thing you're doing? Distributors don't do what you tell them to do. They do what? They do what you do. You've heard people say, well, Jeff, would you follow you? It's easier to lead than it is to push. Watch the feet, not the lips. So you've got to go out there, and if you do that, other people would start doing that. A simple discipline. You may not hit marketing director that first year or that second year, but if you did that consistently for a few years, national marketing director, 39 club, financial independence is in the bag. And it's just 3 a day. That's simple discipline. And you know what? You can lie to your upline. You can lie to me, but don't lie to yourself. Check the gauges. You got to check the gauges. Well, Jeff, I was busy and, I missed the 3 yesterday, but it's okay. I'll make it up. Well, I just said I was going to give you $100,000 a year, but you got to do 3 every day. That was the deal. You got to be consistent. Anything you're consistent with, you're going to have the results. Conference. What does Jeff Roberti do? How did you build this business, Jeff? Handful of things, guys. I don't do 1,000 things well. I do a handful of things 1,000 times over. I share the product. I get good at sharing the story. I'm a paid storyteller. Sell results, not ingredients. Nothing against the doctors. We got all this credibility, all this great research. But what am I talking about? I love the product. Here's what it's done for me. Here's what it's done for others. Results, not ingredients. The stories or the research is there. So you're selling those results, not those ingredients. But what am I doing consistently? Sharing the product, sharing the opportunity, sharing the mission, building relationships, building these relationships, building for an event. One event into the next. You have an event like this. Now there's a conference call on Monday night. Then you roll it into this event and that event. And then what's the last thing that I do? Or the other thing that I do is I learn to master major impending events. Now, what does that mean, major impending events? How do you master them? Conference. Conference is our Juice Plus Super Bowl. It's the Super Bowl. You know who's there? All the top producers, all the up-and-coming stars, all the doctors, all the corporate, all the new people. Conferences are powerful. I have built my business, Lauren, over the last 28 years by bringing people to conference, getting them there. A freshman class, they're excited. They take it all in, and they leave with a PhD in Juice Plus and direct sales. They're flying so high, I don't need a plane to get home. Right? Conference. It's a non-negotiable paying activity. Get that in your notes. Non-negotiable. Conference is not a should, it's a must. And it starts with you booking your non-refundable ticket. It starts with you, like Joy, the example of booking all the tickets and rooms and saying, all right, I'm going to fill this. I'm going to make this happen. Do you guys know how I opened up Germany? Bigger the problem, bigger the paycheck. I heard Germany was opening up in the early 90s. I could have stayed home in my comfort zone, worked in the existing markets I had. But I said, you know what, Jeff? Here's a chance for you to stretch yourself, to get out of your comfort zone, to get into some uncharted waters. So I said, well, I don't know anybody in Germany. I don't sprechen Sie Deutsch. How do I get Germany going? I ran ads in the newspaper. Germany, multi-billion-dollar company expanding into Germany, looking for marketing directors, 6-figure income potential, call for details, bilingual a must. Phone started to ring. Started to get some people. Creative and innovative, right? That was my social media at the time. I recruited them here. I trained them here. They were bilingual. They knew people over there. And I took them over to Deutschland. And we started doing meetings and trainings and recruiting and building. And I said, give me 3 to 5 years, guys, and I'll set you up financially for the rest of your life. You'll set yourself up financially. And you know what a great way to train somebody? Through translation. I'm up on stage. I'm going through the company. I'm going through the products. I'm going through the marketing system. I'm up there all excited, and they're translating me in German. Well, I found myself where I'd say something. After a few weeks, they'd be translating my new recruit, my new leader, and they'd be way ahead. Like a lot of German words are coming out. I'm like, hey, you're doing your own training over here. They were like, well, you know, Jeff, we've heard you so many times. And I was like, aha, I've duplicated myself. Not only have I told them, but I've showed them they're trying it, and now they're doing it. And then Germany expanded into Switzerland, and then it went into Austria, and then it went into Italy, and then it went into all these markets. It was so exciting. There was times where I was traveling so much internationally. Anybody done any international travel in the room? I'll never forget one time I was traveling, and I was going to blowing and going. I was in Berlin, Germany, and I got in. I was just exhausted. I had been really going hard, and anybody sleep in the nude? Anybody like to sleep in the nude? Show of hands. Well, I do. I'm very hot-natured, like right now. By the way, well, you want to give me a little hand towel here? But it's interesting. I want some water too. What? Give him a hand. Thank you, buddy. But I found myself. Do you guys like the Vegas outfit, by the way? Thought I'd kick it up a notch. All right. Still working on my own personal transformation, by the way. So anyway, I was somewhere on a story. Oh, Germany, Deutschland, Berlin. I'm in the bed. Don't know how I got here, but I'm here now, Johnny. Got to go with it. So there I am. And I'm in bed, and I'm exhausted. I've just given every bit of, people don't care how much you know till you flip the cord around, and they know how much you care, right? I'm getting the signal. Is that better? So I'm laying in bed, and I have no idea what time it is, where I'm at, and I hear a knock at the door. Well, I get up. I don't know if I'm at home or where I'm at. I get up. I go to the door. I open the door. Can't even see. I'm just blinded. And I step outside the door, and I hear click. Instant shrinkage, by the way. And I'm standing there in Berlin, Germany, in the hallway at 4. I found out it was 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm looking down this hallway. There's not a bush, a curtain, nothing. I mean, this thing, I don't know what the Germans do over there, but there was nothing there. So I'm standing, I get this rush of energy go through my body. I'm like, okay, Jeff, the ultimate resource in life is resourcefulness. Figure this out. So I go in the stairwell, and they got one of those mats glued on the top of the stairwell, and I'm standing there butt naked trying to rip this sucker off. And I finally get it off. Put the glue side out, by the way. Well, it only covered half, so I took the front half. The back half was still out there. And I find myself going down the elevator with the mat on. And I get down into the lobby, and there's one of those guys buffing the floor, with the thing. And I go to the front desk, and the guy asked me for ID. True story. It can happen. Another concept I have is I love all the social media and all this stuff, but sometimes get off your phone and talk to the person next to you, right? Good God. You ever see these couples, especially couples at dinner, and they're both on their phone? My attitude is when I go to have a meal, I want to talk to the waiter. I want to share a gift of health and wealth. Believe me, there's some waiters that could make you a lot of money out there, by the way. But I talk to people. It's called the 3-foot rule. You know what the 3-foot rule is? Somebody gets within 3 feet of you, you talk to them. You make a friend. You build some rapport. You make a connection. You ask some questions. How are you? Boom, boom, boom. Whatever it is. And you're not going to try and sell them Juice Plus right there on the spot, but you want to possibly exchange numbers if there's an interest, right? You know, when I worked in Japan and I was on the subway, these things were so packed it was... Let me give you just a couple more here, Lauren. I know we got to wrap it up. I will share with you this. 2012. The last 2 years, I've had the biggest growth of my life. 2012, we were down in the Bahamas. Bobby and Lisa pageant. I'm celebrating my 50th birthday. It's Bobby's birthday. We've chartered this beautiful boat. We're down there. We're having a great time. Anybody scuba divers? Anybody like snorkeling? Anybody like conch salads? I mean, we're just having a blast. Well, I think I'm on top of the world. You know, got this great business, great life. Everything's going great. And I get cut up on a little bit of coral. Didn't think much of it. Come back home, and God is like a bolt of lightning striking you off your horse. You get humbled. God brings you to your knees, and I find myself in ICU fighting for my life. I've gotten a bacteria in my blood, and my body has gone septic, and my vital organs are shut down, and I've got toxic shock. And I'm less than 10% survival. Couple things. Number one, you don't realize how important your health is until you don't have it. Sometimes you take it for granted. You know, you got to have contrast. If you're always healthy all the time, when you get sick, you really appreciate good health. Number two, I told Kenny my priorities had gotten out of line. You know, I was a hard worker, achiever. I was helping other people. You know, I was a believer. I had been saved. But for me, I didn't really have much of a relationship spiritually. And my priorities fell in line. Spiritual life became number one. Family life became number two. Business is still important. I still love to achieve, and I love to win, and I love to build and create, but it's not number one. So that came out of it. The other thing that came out of this was we hear this Juice Plus company, the company with a heart, the Juice Plus family. I really didn't know what that meant until I was in the hospital on my deathbed. The amount of love and prayers and support that came from the Juice Plus family all over the world was overwhelming. And I truly believe it played a big role in saving my life. Yes. The other one was being on Juice Plus for over 20 years. The doctors said to Joanne, I can't believe this guy, how strong his immune system is in the fight and the Constitution. Most people don't survive this. They called me the miracle man. Being on Juice Plus, it was, it was got to a point where I was this close. And then all of a sudden, things started to turn. They started to change. And I truly believe that being on Juice Plus saved my life. Now, I've recruited all the doctors as well, by the way. But that was the other one. The other thing was not only the product, but the business. Here I am sick in the hospital for almost 2 weeks. I survive it. I get a second chance. The doctors say, Jeff, your vital organs need time to heal and repair. You can't travel and be back out there again. You need to take it easy. And I've got a company, a business, where there's residual income, insurance benefits, a 6-figure bill from the hospital, and I have my best year ever when I'm on the sidelines. I had a lot of people say, Jeff, maybe you should stay on the sidelines. The other one for me is When you get a second chance in life, you do not let your comfort get in the way of your calling. When God gives you a second chance, you know you're here for a higher purpose, a higher reason. And you do not stay at home on your beach house in your ivory tower. You get out there and you serve. And you take that and use that as your calling. Here was another thing, the lesson that I got from this. I've never missed a conference. Here in the United States, in Europe, we're getting ready to go do the one in Australia this year. I couldn't go to the conference. Doctor said you can't go to the Rome conference. You can't go to the Dallas conference. This was back in 2012. And I found myself in my office. And I felt like somebody had stuck a knife in my heart. I was crying. I couldn't stop crying. I was just in such a horrible place emotionally. And Joanna says, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I told these people I'd be there for them. I'm letting them down. I told them I'd be there when they're walking the stage." And I finally went to a place. I said, "You know what, Jeff? Change the meaning, change your life. What something means equals the emotions that you feel and equals the quality of your life. Why don't you ask some better questions and get some better answers? What else could this mean? How can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What spiritual lessons can I learn? How can I give this an empowering meaning?" And I came out of that and I went to a total place of love and gratitude and appreciation. And I got the lesson. I'll never take another conference for granted again. It's not just another conference. Because when that was taken away, I realized, just like the health was taken away, just how much I loved it, how it was meeting those needs. The needs of love and growth and contribution and all these wonderful needs that were being met. And I took that pain and I grew from it. As painful as that was, I wouldn't change it. Last story I'll share with you is this. I lost my brother this past year. So 2012, near-death experience. 2013, my brother, 2.5 years apart, Paulie, massive heart attack. He's 46 years old, massive seizures. They get him down to the hospital, ICU. They got him on life support. But if you don't get oxygen to your brain for a period of time, you become what's called brain dead. And there he is in ICU on life support. Finally, Paulie passed. But the thing that was crazy about it is, the family dynamics with his wife of 25 years, with our mom, going through all this, and I'm trying to, I'm saying, look, let's give this an empowering meeting. Let's celebrate his life. He's at a better place. All these wonderful things, and I'm trying to be the rock of the family. I'm the rock that's in the river, and the river's flowing around me. I got to deal with this. I got to have conversations with my mom and his wife about this. And then I remembered that I had an event in Texas. I had an event in Michigan. I had another event in Memphis. And it was just like a week away. And I'm just burying my brother. And I didn't want to go. I was like, I'm going to cancel. And I thought about something that Jay had said. Give love first. And I thought, you know what, Jeff? Go. And I walked into that room. It was San Antonio. And I walked in the room and I knew I was in the right place. And it just hit me to go out and always give love first. I took care of what I needed to do at home, but was able to go out there and do that. So I share these stories with you because, it's not always smooth sailing. There's going to be some ups and downs. There's going to be ups and downs in your business. There's going to be ups and downs in your personal life. And you've just got to get yourself to a place that you learn from it and you grow from it and you move forward. The last thing I'll share with you is this. How do you control your state? Lauren said, Jeff, could you share with them a little bit about state and how you manage your state and how you keep yourself in a peak resourceful state? Well, one of the things that I do consistently is you want to change. If you find yourself experiencing lousy emotions, how do you change that? What works for you? If you find yourself depressed or angry or upset or these emotions, what I found works for me is a radical shift in your physiology. Move, breathe, drink some water, go for a walk, put on some music. There's emotion in motion. So a radical shift in your physiology. Number 2 is change your focus. What are you focused on? You know, what you focus on becomes real. Whatever you focus on, you move towards. We can all focus on things that will make us feel lousy in life. What's wrong in life is always available. Also, what's right in life is always available. Maybe life is not happening to me. Maybe life is happening for me. So I focus on what I'm grateful for. If you're grateful, fear and these negative emotions can't exist. So things that used to bother me for 2 or 3 months, I compressed the time. I got it down to 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 minutes, and now it's sometimes 20 or 30 seconds. I'm ready to go. Shift the physiology, shift the language, shift the meaning, what it means, and all of a sudden I'm back in a peak resourceful state. Don't set yourself up to go out and talk to people if you're not in a great place yourself. So there's some rituals that you may have to go through to keep yourself in a peak resourceful state. The other thing is this. What story do you have that's holding you back in life? What limiting belief? What old story do you keep telling yourself? Divorce your story and marry the truth. The truth will set you free. The past does not equal the future. I remember some of my friends trying to hold me back when I got in. They wanted to filter my dreams, rain on my parade. But I moved forward. Guys, the number 1 recruiting tool in our business is what? A mirror. Don't look upline. Don't look downline. Work on yourself. You grow, your business grows. And the number 1 question to ask yourself is, what do I have to do to make this business what? A bigger priority in my life. You've got something here. I believe this is a God-sent company. I believe we've got something here very special to not only grow as a person, but to serve and play at the highest level in life. What greater rewards than to make an impact on somebody's health and their prosperity? You're not here by coincidence. There's a reason why you're in this room here today. The one excuse you don't have is to say that I've never been at the right place at the right time. But it doesn't mean you get the prize. You've got to stand up and march. You got to say, you know what, Jeff? You're right. I've drawn a line in the sand, no more. Tearing up that list of excuses. I'm ready to step up, be outstanding, and be the best distributor in my organization. This is no longer a should, this is a must. And I don't want you to stand up and cheer. I want you to stand up and march and jump into something that you truly believe in. And that's what we have here today. So I want to say God bless to all of you. Give Lauren a big hand coming back up here. And thank you.